I'm delighted to welcome back to the program Andrew Mangione Jr. He's the Director of Business Development for the Association of Matured American Citizens, and we're here to talk about some of the catches within Obamacare. Andrew, nice to have you back. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Perry. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, before we get into it a little bit, tell us about the association and what it is and how people can get more information about it.
I'd be glad to, Perry. The Association of Mature American Citizens, otherwise known as AMAC, is the conservative alternative to AARP. We are a member benefits organization, but first and foremost, we're advocates for those Americans who are age 50 plus. We have over 730,000 dues-paying members in all 50 states, and we're adding about 25,000 new members each month.
Wow.
So we're growing very, very nicely. If people are interested in learning more about this other, for so many years, people thought that the only organization they could join to advocate on their behalf once they hit 50 was AARP, and that's not the case anymore.
You know, I have to tell you, when I get information from the AARP, I do this. I rip it and throw it in the trash. I just won't have anything to do with those guys.
You and thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people are doing the same. If people are interested in learning about AMAC, they can go to our website at amac.us. That's amac.us, or they could call 888-262-2006 and speak with a member benefits representative.
All right, let's get into this. You guys obviously tracking the potential impact of Obamacare on senior citizens and mature citizens, and you're saying here the pathetic Obamacare irony of pre-existing conditions. How bad is this?
Well, when the law went into effect, a temporary program was established called the Pre-Existing Conditions Insurance Plan, or PCIP, and the federal government funded it by putting $5 billion into it. Wow. And what they're finding is that so many people are enrolling that they have to, wait for it, ration those who can come in. They've stopped enrolling people, so it's turned into a rationing program.
You got to be kidding me.
They're running out of money on this temporary program. And if you recall, Perry, critics of the Affordable Care Act that mentioned that this will lead to rationing were laughed at by supporters of the Affordable Care Act. And even before full implementation, we're seeing rationing already.
You know, Andrew, I mean, I want to be respectful here, but it appears that every promise that the president has made about Obamacare has been a lie, from lower premiums to pre-existing conditions being covered, and the list goes on and on and on. All of this seems to be just a bald-faced lie.
Right, right. I mean, when was the last time the federal government, no matter who's running it, managed any program efficiently or effectively? Just look at the VA. Look at Medicare, and so yeah, I would have to agree with you. We were sold that you could keep your physician, you could keep your insurance if you like it. We were sold that this would bend. This was one of their catchphrases. It would bend the cost curve down, and we're seeing premiums in California where the healthcare exchanges are implemented and up and running, where young, healthy people, individuals buying individual policies, are experiencing between a 46 and 164% increase in premiums.
Well, this thing's going to implode. It has to. Now, why did the AARP endorse this thing then?
Well, AARP, there was a lot of arm twisting done by the White House to get the endorsement of AARP. And keep in mind, Perry, that AARP endorsed this against the wishes of their members. Right. We suspect that obviously when AARP runs around and tells people that they're nonpartisan, that's a joke. They're very partisan. They support policies that the left brings to the table. They stand to profit by the sale of Medicare supplemental insurance once the Affordable Care Act is fully implemented. We believe that they are they serve the left and the policies coming from the left. They were extremely pressured, and their leadership folded, despite the fact that their members overwhelmingly did not want Obamacare and did not want AARP to endorse it. Their leadership was weak, and they caved in and supported it.
Well, do you see anything, do you see any kind of a mounting pushback on Obamacare? I mean, I know the polls say nobody wants it. It became law. Pelosi said, well, we'll tell you when it's in it after we pass it. I mean, you know the drill. But now we're beginning to find out that every promise that was made by the administration concerning Obamacare is false. Is your organization receiving pressure to push back?
Well, absolutely. Keep in mind the biggest difference between AMAC and AARP, Perry, is that our members drive our agenda.
Right.
They direct our actions, and they're very concerned. Particularly, 40% of our members still work, 60% are retired. Yes, our members are very vocal about their anxiety over the Affordable Care Act. They believe that it'll lead to doctor shortages. Less physicians will accept Medicare because there's not going to be any money in it. You're going to see quality of care go down. Absolutely, we're receiving feedback from our members that they want us to act on their behalf and right now what we're pushing is to defund Obamacare. Republicans are running the House of Representatives. They hold the purse strings, and they could defund all or part of it to slow down this implementation, take a step back, and come up with alternatives.
All right, because if the pre-existing is being rationed, it produces two things: possible lawsuits for those who have and who have not, and it also certainly brings into the picture somebody making the decision who gets care and who does not, which leads to the value of life.
That's right. That's right. And look, the administration will tell you we're covering everybody with pre-existing conditions, and you know what? People with pre-existing conditions need to be covered. There needed to be a solution, but this is not it. Even a temporary program, we're not even at full implementation. The temporary program is going bankrupt. Therefore, they're denying people who have pre-existing conditions entry into a program that serves people with pre-existing conditions. If it wasn't so tragic, this would be laughable.
Yeah, you're dealing with people's lives here. Andrew, are you able to get any headway in the House for defunding some of these things? Is Boehner paying any attention to this?
Yes, he is. He's paying attention. I wish that he was. He has shown some leadership. In terms of traction, we speak with different members. Obviously, I mean, I'm on Capitol Hill. I handle the government end of the business. All right. For AMAC members. There's talk about defunding. I think they're waiting for the timing. I think what they're doing, and this is just me speaking, Perry, they're seeing the implementation falter, stumble, and be clumsily managed. And I think they're hoping and they're waiting to see, as you mentioned before, that this whole law could crumble under its own hyper-regulated and just mismanaged implementation before they act.
But do we have to wait for a catastrophic meltdown where people are literally hurt for something to happen? I mean, with the House Ways and Means Committee, is that chairperson or even the members of that committee saying, wait a minute, we got to introduce something here and stop it?
Yeah, there's some that are there's a House GOP Doctors Caucus. Now, the House Ways and Means Committee, that's chaired by Dave Camp. He's out of Michigan, and we were in his office last week.
Good.
However, there's a House GOP Doctors Caucus, and this is a caucus that's made up of physicians, nurses, healthcare providers who are now members of Congress. They are pushing to defund. They are pushing to reform the reform that's in place right now.
You would hope that the IRS scandal and the potential of IRS literally managing Obamacare in itself would implode.
And you know what, Perry? I think a better word than manage is enforce. The IRS is the enforcer of Obamacare. And we'll talk about the scandals in a second. They're not even structurally set up to do this. All right? So they're ramping up with God knows how many more agents to enforce Obamacare. But given the fact of the persecution of people of faith and of conservative groups, this is like the fox watching the hen house. And it makes people, particularly our members, very uneasy that this group, the IRS, will have access to sensitive, personal, privileged medical records once they become the enforcers of Obamacare.
Wow. Well, how are your members responding to the scandals? I mean, the trust factor of anything going on in Congress or government in particular has got to be at an all-time low.
Yeah, absolutely. Our members want to know why do you remember the BP oil? Yeah. The oil spill, and you had Robert Gibbs, and the president wanted to know whose neck to put their boot on. Yeah. Well, our members want to know why people are still employed at the IRS. Right. Why aren't heads rolling there? This is a gross misjustice, a gross invasion of privacy, out and out. I mean, and it's right in front of everybody. And they're not buying the fact that the administration didn't know. They're not buying the fact that it was just a couple of rogue agents. This was a systemic corruption. And our members they're asking. I mean, petitions are being signed, questions are being asked. Our members want to know why people are still employed at the IRS.
Well,
Certain
Andrew, I
things.
want to applaud you for what you are doing and the organization you put together. Let me encourage our viewers and listeners, my personal opinion, get out of AARP. Your money doesn't go where they say it goes. It goes actually against the things you believe in. And take a long look at AMAC. And how do they get a hold of you, Andrew, or your company or your organization?
They can find us on the web at www.amac, that's AMAC.us, amac.us, or call 888-262-2006 to learn more about AMAC.
Terrific. Thanks, man. Thanks for being with us. Value our time together. Keep up the good work.
My pleasure. God bless you, Perry.
God bless you. All right, we'll be right back.